what would you change about Strongsville?
Well, that's a good question. I give it, again, it's a great place to live. But again, I think it goes back to some of the main themes of my campaign is that we need to do a better job with the infrastructure and being proactive in our city budget and spending. I think we need to be more transparent with putting the checkbook online. Mr. Maloney says it's smoke and mirrors, but there's nothing wrong. Actually, there's no cost to a city. The treasurer's office will put that online and they pay for it. They're budgeted to pay for it. So I think to let residents see more detail of the spendings. I'm a CPA. I understand financial statements. I can read the CAFR report that the auditor puts together, but the average citizen is not a CPA and understands financial statements. Looking at the checkbook online, everybody can do their own checkbook. I think that'd be a big win for the residents. So I think as we continue to grow, we need to be responsible in our growth. Again, looking at talking with residents, the neighborhoods. Industrial park growth is fine. Those areas, there's not a problem. When we're developing next to neighborhoods, we're putting in businesses or new businesses or redeveloping those areas, we're taking out green space. We need to work with our residents. We need to listen. We're going to have to compromise. It's not going to be the residents are always right and the developers are always right. No, we have to meet halfway to address their concerns and just be a more responsive, a more empathetic representative to the people. Again, I pledge I'll return their phone call within 24 hours. On my literature is my cell phone number. They can call me anytime. I'll get back within 24 hours, if not sooner. As a CPA, I return my client phone calls in 24 hours. I look at the residents of the ward as all of them being my clients. So I think that's where we can improve a bit in Strongsville.
Any response?
Sure. Quickly to react to I'll be more responsive and I'm absolutely responsive. I've had hundreds of residents come to me over the last 4 years with a whole range of issues. They do get phone calls returned or emails, or I'll go out to visit with them in person. Absolutely listen to what they have to say and do everything I can to help them resolve an issue. So for the implication to be there that I don't, I think is wrong. In terms of things that we can do to improve Strongsville, and speaking of the retail and the hodgepodge, we have done something about that. We, with the Planning, Zoning, and Engineering Committee, we put together an architectural guideline document that is now handed out to every developer that wants to come in and build something new along the Pearl Road corridor. So for years we had a patchwork quilt of all different architectural look and feel and all different kinds of buildings, and that's one example, but I'll get more into that when I answer the question.
Sure, so same question to you. What would you change about Strongsville?
So to continue with what I was saying, that has been feedback we received from residents that in particular, we have these strip plazas that have been cropping up for years, along Pearl in particular. And people have said, when is enough enough? Aren't there other things we can build on what little remaining vacant land we have, in particular along Pearl Road all the way down to Boston? And I absolutely agree, and it was one of the things that I wanted to tackle when I got on council. So that's where we did the work to get that guidelines document put into place, which is now given to developers. It's not so easy to say, well, we'll go and talk to residents and we'll come up with a compromise. All the land is zoned. It's all zoned for a particular use, and it's all tied to the city's comprehensive plan. And you can't go and arbitrarily change zoning of land because you go and have a community meeting with residents who say, well, I don't want that built there. It's not that easy. And that's what leads to litigation, and that's where cities ultimately get sued. And again, back to the property owner's rights, they will more often than not prevail. So we have to work with what we have. To the extent we can, we do talk about potential rezoning, and we meet with the property owners and we work through that and say, well, we do think it would be a win-win that if we change this to a different use, you'd still get the benefits you wanted out of that land while doing something that's more beneficial to the community. And sometimes we're successful, but it's a little harder than it sounds on the surface.
Any response?
No, I just want to say again, going back to the point of responsible development, especially in Ward 4 at the southern end there, we're starting to see with the widening of Pearl Road up the hill to Boston, with the development of more homes back there, we need to make sure we have like family-oriented, family-responsible types of businesses there. There have been some that have put in that I won't name, but a lot of people have complained about because they're not very family-oriented. So I think we need to ensure that, again, to keep that family atmosphere, to keep Strongsville a strong community, that it will attract families, that we're attracting the right type of businesses, and we're zoning those properly to attract the right type of retail to Strongsville. So I think, though, overall, those types of businesses will continue. If we do it right and we zone it properly and we get the right types of business in there, it'll continue to attract families, especially into our ward, that southern part of the ward.